Welcome to the Home of Misfits podcast, where normal is optional, masks are unnecessary, and you belong. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Home of Misfits, where masks are optional. No, see, I'm still screwing it up. Normal is optional, masks are unnecessary, and you belong. One of these days, I will get it right. Maybe, after episode 100 or something. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Come as you are, flaws and all. It's all good. So anyway, so today I'm so excited, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little fangirling over here because
Oh my gosh.
today I have my friend Rachael Ortega with me, and Rachel and I actually have been connected on Facebook for a few years, I think.
Hmm.
But we actually never met in person.
Yes.
We just met in person, like, was it April, May meeting?
I think so.
So, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And then I took the class that her and Carm do, and I get to interview Carm too this week. I'm so excited. Anyway, I'm like, squeak.
Nice.
But I mean, I love your story. I love where you come from. And so anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Did I mention I'm fangirling over here? But anyway.
You're so sweet.
Rachel, thank you so much for being here with us today and welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. You know what? I need to put my chair up a little higher. Sorry.
Oh, that's
I'm
okay.
like,
I'm keep slouching down in mine too, so it's all good.
I'm just a little bit too low. Oh, that's much better. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Hello.
I felt like a little kid sitting at the big table.
Mind you tell us a little about like the Cliff Notes, real quick.
Well, so a little bit about me. I'm Rachael Ortega, and I'm a psychic medium and a certified grief coach and a pet psychic and I also pet sit, which I don't tell people not a lot of people know that about me, but I've been getting this message more and more that I need to stop hiding that.
Well, a whole lot more people will know that now.
Yes. So I board dogs at my house.
Okay.
Um, which I love. I love having other pets here. I have three dogs of my own and a cat and a bird
Oh, wow.
and some chickens. But and just a little bit about me. I mean, I was stay-at-home mom for a lot of years, married over 21 years, and just I've always had gifts and I've always gotten messages. I've always been very connected with my guides and I always felt very connected with Jesus and grew up in a very religious family and so I was always, and and gifts run in my family. And so my mother was very afraid of her gifts. So whenever I would tell my parents, I'm seeing things or hearing things or feeling things, they would tell me, oh, just leave it alone. Don't pay attention to it. That those are just, what they would say was, those are just demons trying to mess with you.
Mm.
Terrified me, right? I'm a kid. So,
Well, yeah, I mean that would terrify anybody.
yes, so I pushed my gifts away for a long, long time and then until my husband got sick and but I was still always very connected. I was still always very connected and but my husband got sick in 2019 and it wasn't good and they were telling us, well, we'll do what we can, but there's not a whole lot we can do, but we'll try to get him some more time, I guess, basically. And it I like I had been dreaming. I had it like I would dream about him all the time and then all of a sudden I wasn't dreaming about him anymore. And so I was like, that's weird. How come he's not in any of my dreams? And a lot of my dreams would come true. Um,
And I can
and
only imagine it's like when you dream about somebody for continuously and never, and then all of a sudden it stops. It's like, what the heck? What's going on? It's like,
yes,
you start questioning things. Yeah.
exactly. And I was like, why is he not in my dreams anymore? That's so weird. And then he was also having dreams. And he tells me, he goes, I think I'm going to get into an accident, like a car accident or something. I said, why? He goes, because I keep dreaming that I'm in the hospital and they're working on me. Well, he didn't tell me he was dreaming his death, right? And that he said he was in the hospital and they were working on, they were kind of working on him in the hospital.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what do you say about that, right? And so I just said, well, because he would also have dreams sometimes that would come true. And I said, well, Well, then I guess you better wear your seatbelt. I better make sure you're wearing your seatbelt then.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah, and it was probably a few months later that he ended up in the hospital, and he was diagnosed with congestive heart failure and some really rare illness, and he just declined really fast, and he passed away 3 months later.
Oh, wow.
And when he passed though, like a few days before, I went to go take a shower, and I told him, "Hey, I'm gonna go take a shower." He couldn't go upstairs anymore. So we were actually sleeping in this room that I'm in now. And I said, "I'm gonna go upstairs." And I was in the shower and I saw him. Like I had this vision of him really strong. And it was the first time I'd had a vision while I was awake. And I saw him open the door and step in, and he had a big smile on his face. And in my heart, I knew like he was never gonna shower with me again, at least in this physical world. And so I just started crying, and I went down, pulled myself together, went downstairs, and I saw him again. I started crying, and then he's like, "What's wrong?" I go, "I'm just afraid you're not going to shower with me ever again." And
Oh,
he's like,
wow.
"I will." And then that night he went into cryogenic shock, and I had to call the ambulance, and then he passed 3 days later.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah, well, and but when he passed, like I saw the day he passed, we were all saying our goodbyes to him. And then I was the last one to leave the ICU. I was the last one to walk out, and I saw him walking with me. I could see him in my mind. I could see him. I could see me and him in his hospital gown. And I thought maybe I was in shock. You know, I thought maybe I was in shock because my I just lost my husband. And then with the days that followed, I kept seeing him and feeling him and hearing him. And the biggest thing is he wasn't scary, right? Like if you've ever been married for a long time, like you can feel your spouse's energy, right? You know
right.
what they feel like. You know when they walk into the room. You know when you walk into a room and they're there. And so I could feel him and it was him. And so then that kind of opened the door to like, well, maybe there's more to this than what I've always been told. And then my dad passed 2 months later, and then
Wow.
my dad was starting to come in, and I was like, huh, maybe maybe there's more to this than what And so then and then once I embraced it, other people started coming in. Like I'd be with my friends, and somebody's uncle would show up or somebody's spouse would show up. And finally I went to go see Carm, and she was like, "You're really gifted." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, you could probably do what I do." And I was like, "Oh yeah, right." She's like, "No, I'm serious."
Whatever.
Yeah, she's like, "I'm serious. You could probably do what I do." And so she told me, the class that you took, she told me, she was like, "I have this class coming up, why don't you take it?" And I said, "Okay." So I took it, and it was my first experience with mediumship in that class. And it was a really beautiful thing. And I don't, and then it just kind of like took off from there. And then now we're business partners. We shared an office for a while, and now we're business partners. So it's just been a really crazy journey.
No, I love that. I love that. And it's like, yeah, and the class was like, you know, blue-
Yeah.
it was so funny too. It's like one thing that happened during that class, it was the second day when I pulled up and my Persephone wasn't cooperating, and slight panic came in and you came out because you felt my panic. I thought that was really like, oh my God.
I know we and Carm talked about that because she said I looked a little like she could
Frazzled.
tell yeah, I felt a little unsettled, I guess. And I was like, I feel like Sabina's here. And I kept telling her, I feel like Sabina's here. I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna go check because I feel like she's here. And I'm gonna go see if she needs anything. And so yeah, I went out and you were out there.
Slight panic, but anyway, that's a whole different story. I don't know if I blogged it. Maybe I should write a blog about it. But anyway,
Well,
back to you.
it
So,
just shows we're all connected.
oh, we are, and it's just it boggles the mind, and it doesn't.
Mhm.
People always ask me. So my husband is like, "Are you surprised?" I'm like, "I'm not really surprised. I'm more in awe than anything these
Mhm.
days." It's like very, 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 very few things surprise me. It would have to be something like really like earth-shattering, you know, to surprise me. I'm more like, "Whoa, this is so cool." So
Yeah.
anyway, so you were talking, you grew up like in very religious, and I can imagine the the emotions and the feels you were going through. I mean, as a kid, so you already had this gift, but then you're brought up in this very rigid religious. let's call it a framework, really.
Yeah.
And it's like, how was that for you as a kid?
Um, it was funny because like I said, I've always had a very strong faith, and I feel like I was born with I almost feel like I came into this world with that, with a very strong faith. And and I grew up in a very, like, my church that I grew up in, it wasn't just strict. It was like kind of a cult. It was very cultish.
Wow.
Like, our it was non-denominational. Technically, it was Christian non-denominational, but our pastor believed that we were the one, like our founder of our church. It was Worldwide Church of God. It was run by Herbert W. Armstrong, and he believed that we were the one true church. We were the one true church. Everybody else had it wrong. Everyone else was pagans. We followed the Old Testament and the New Testament. So we followed all the, like, Old Testament laws and all the Jewish holidays. And then, and so we didn't celebrate Christmas. Like, we didn't celebrate like holidays that people celebrate now, but mostly all the Jewish stuff. And so it was very strict. Like, women weren't allowed to wear makeup. Um, we had to be subservient. We had to be submissive to our husbands. Husbands had to be the leaders. It was all very masculine led, and the women were there to help, basically.
The footnote.
So yes, and so very, like, very, very structured. And it was like a church of, like, God's doom and gloom, right? You had to be perfect, or you had to behave, or else. And they believe that when you die, you're asleep until the second coming of Christ, where you'll be risen up and then you'll be judged. And if you were good enough, you get to go to heaven. And if you weren't, then you go to hell.
I mean,
So,
what an awful way to live, to have that hanging
right?
over you all the time. It's like, no wonder
Well,
people are so scared and
and
afraid
I
of
remember
everything.
being young, right? And I was
Right.
like, Dad, and I would tell my dad, like, Dad, how do we know that? Like, it just didn't make sense to me back then, right? And I said, Dad, how do we know that? How do we know we're the one true church? I mean, don't all the other churches, like, I'm
Feel the
sure they,
same way?
yeah, I'm like, I feel they, don't they, like, how do we know? Don't they think the same thing? Like, how do we know we're the one true church? And he would get so mad at me. And I would tell him, and he would say no, and he would say no, because it says in the Bible or whatever, you're supposed to do this and that. And then I would tell him, and he would talk about, like, we're going to be judged and stuff. And I was like, well, how do why are, like, doesn't God see what's in our hearts? I would tell him, like, doesn't God see what's in our hearts,
I
Dad?
mean,
Like,
it's a valid question.
yeah, I'm like, nobody's perfect. Like, we all make mistakes. Like, doesn't he see what's in our hearts? Doesn't he see that our hearts are, if our hearts are pure, doesn't he see that? Like, what about the people that never had an opportunity to learn about Christian religion? Like, what about them? And my dad would get so mad at me because, because I would
How dare
challenge,
you question the structure?
right? Exactly. I would, like, question it and, like, challenge him on that. And he would be like, because it's in the Bible. He would just say stuff like
Because I
that. And
said so, that's why.
yeah, and so, yeah, so it was, but I just never, in my core, I never felt that. I never felt, I mean, and it was pretty bad. Like, I remember my dad, so my first husband was abusive. And I remember I left him. And my dad was really upset that I left him. And he's like, that's your husband. You need to, you guys need to work it out, go to counseling. And I was like, Dad, he hits me. Like, I cannot in my
Yeah.
heart
Peace
believe.
out, man.
Yeah, I'm like, in my heart, I can't, not only that, but he was an addict. Like, I can't believe in my heart that God wants me to be with a man that's gonna abuse me. And my dad was, he was really just strict about it.
Good for
And
you for listening to your heart and cutting the cords and getting out.
I just never saw God that way. I always saw him as a loving father, not like, the ultimate judge of doom and gloom, that, you better behave or else. I never saw
Right.
him that. I always, and maybe because my dad was a loving father, and that's why like, my dad was not my mom was the more strict parent, and my dad was the more, so I kind of saw God like my dad, right?
Right.
And so I just couldn't believe that God would want us to be suffering. I mean, I still can't believe God would want us to be suffering,
No,
right?
and I agree with you. And my thing is, it's like that's why I stay away from religion of any sort, because it's like on one hand, it's like the loving God, and on the other side, and right after that, yeah, but he will judge you. So you better not screw up.
Yeah.
It just doesn't add up. It's either he's all loving and he accepts us for who we are, faults
Yes.
and everything, or he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I think now, where I'm at now, I don't really fit in any church or any religion. But I also realize that I don't have to be in a church or in any one
Correct.
religion to have a relationship with God or Jesus. Like, and I think coming into my gifts and really embracing them, what I kept hearing is, why can't I be both? Like, why can't I
Mhm.
believe in God and why can't I be spiritual too? Like, why do I have to be one or the other? And a lot of
Right.
religion, it's like you can't be spiritual. You
But
have to
that's
be.
part of our culture. It's like it's that either or mentality,
Mhm.
and it's like I don't believe in either or. It's like I want my cake and eat it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's
Yeah,
like,
like
what good is the cake
why
if I
can't
can just look at it and not do anything with it? I mean, that's just stupid.
and I still yes, and I still believe that, it's our it's who we are. Like we're judged by who we are, where our heart is at. But,
No, I
if
agree.
and
So I mean, as you got older, teenager, I mean, I can't even imagine how it must have been for you as a teenager, having that whole conflict thing going on.
well,
You
I
know,
was rebellious.
no.
I'm a Leo. I was a rebellious, free-spirited teenager. I was always getting in trouble at church, always getting in trouble. And because I did what I wanted to do. I did my own thing. And, I got pregnant when I was 18 and I wasn't married. And my church was like, well, you can't come to church anymore until after you have your baby because, God forbid people see a pregnant teenager. And I'm thinking, this is probably when I need my church the most. Like, why are they
Right?
banishing me right now? Yeah. And just I was not the rule follower for sure. I probably more of a rule follower now than I was then. But again, if something didn't make sense to me, like if it just really didn't make sense, I would try to gather evidence, right? I would try to gather evidence because and not
Prove
just
it. Prove it.
yes,
I want
exactly,
proof.
kind of prove it. Yeah, like really show me. But I just kept feeling like no, because I always felt like God, like Jesus was watching out for me. And I was like, no, I don't feel that. I don't believe that that's what he wants for us.
Hmm.
I don't believe that it's about our how we behave or our acts, but like, where our intentions are,
No,
right?
absolutely. And I love that because it's like, people are like, well, are you a Christian? I'm like, no, I don't identify as any of that. As like, do I believe in the teachings? Do I believe that Jesus was a phenomenal teacher? Absolutely. He was a
Hmm.
healer, he was a teacher. He was doing all the stuff that we do that the traditional churches poo-poo on.
Yeah.
It is like it doesn't make to me, it just doesn't make sense.
Yes. And I've always considered myself a Christian because I believe in Christ. I believe in Jesus Christ and with his teachings, right? But I don't even know where I fit in that anymore. Um
Well,
and
here's my
mostly
question.
because
It's like, why do you feel like you need to fit in anywhere?
I don't think I do.
See,
And
we're
that's
misfits.
yeah, exactly. And I don't think I need to fit in. Again, it goes back
Correct.
to I can be both. I
Right.
can have a relationship with Jesus and I can have a relationship with God and I can be spiritual too. And I can understand that it's all connected and there's something bigger than what we've always been told. So,
Right. No, I love that. Ooh, I was like, boom. It's a good chills, It's like, wow.
Mhm.
No, but I mean, it's true. It's true.
Mhm.
It's like one does not negate the other. It's like both things can be true at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
So, no, I
And
love that. And then so you got older and so you became so what you do now started as like after your husband passed away then?
yeah, so like before that, like I said, I was mostly a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I've always had my own little side businesses because I liked making my own money, I guess. But so I did a bunch of different things. Like I was in women's ministry for like 6 years. And I helped run the MOPS group. I did various positions, but I also helped run the MOPS group. And
Can
And
you
I
explain real quick what the MOPS group is
so MOPS
for
group
our
is
viewers that don't know?
stands for Mothers of Preschoolers. And it's, it's a religious organization. They're in a lot of churches to kind of bring community to mothers with young kids. And so we had about 60 women in our group, and I had a leadership team of about 9 ladies, and I had a co-leader that helped me with that. And so we would plan, like, we had twice a month we would have meetings, and we would have to get up and do a devotional, and then the women would have questions, and they'd sit amongst their table and talk. And it was interesting because, like I said, I've always had my gifts, and I've always leaned more on my psychicness. It was the mediumship that really scared me, but I relied heavily on my intuition. And so the night before our meetings, I would be sitting at my computer saying, okay, I need to speak about something, right? I need to do the devotional, and I need to speak. And I'd be like, what am I going to talk about? And I'd sit there staring at my computer, like, I also get like a lot of executive dysfunction, so I have a hard time starting something. And so I would just
Hey,
stare
the
at my,
TISM brain.
yes,
Yay.
and yes, I also have ADHD too. So I I would just eventually just close my computer because I'd be blank, and I'd say, okay, God, I don't know what you want me to say tomorrow, but I'm just going to trust that you're going to give me the words, and I'd go to bed. And then the next morning I'd get up and I'd walk in there in a room full of 60 women, maybe like 65. And I would just start talking, and I would just start telling a story, telling whatever. And people would always come up. And then we had a devotional book, and I would just open a page and, go over that. And people would always come up after and be like, oh, wow, thank you so much. I really needed to hear that. But it wasn't me. I was just, I don't know, the
Right.
channel.
Well,
And
no, I
so,
mean it's true, and it's like, and I've done that a few times. It's like when I do speaking or something, and in the training, there's like, okay, prepare your speech and the pauses and this, and I'm like, yeah, not it. I just go. It's like, okay, I will talk, and the right thing comes out. Whatever needs to come out comes out.
yeah, yeah, I might write some bullet points, but,
Well, yeah, I
my,
mean, we got to stay on track somehow, especially with
yeah,
our autism brains.
yes. But like I said, I had other businesses, and like a lot of multi-level marketing businesses. Like I did Wild Tree, I did Princess House,
I did
I
Wild Tree
sold,
too. I love that food.
oh, nice. I didn't know you did Wild Tree. That's so
Yeah, a long time
awesome.
ago.
And I did a lot of, I worked at Walgreens as a cashier, like, but I always really excelled in everything I did. And what I've realized, but I also, okay, I had an in-home daycare because I have 5 kids. I had an in-home daycare. I had a pet sitting business that I still do. Um, and we sold CBD oil. That was the last thing we did. And before my husband passed. But I never felt like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. Like it just never felt like it was like this was it. And it wasn't until I stepped into this work that I was like, oh, this is when I finally felt like this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. But the
Hmm.
good thing is all those things I learned in those multi-level marketing businesses, running my own businesses, all those things I learned, I've they all became tools for me in running my business today.
Right.
And
No,
so,
I get that because it's like very much like you. I dabbled here and there because it's like being an employee is just not my thing. I've tried it. It's just not
mm,
not it.
yeah,
So I dabbled here and there, and it's like, but just like you, I did it, but it never felt like home. It never felt
yeah,
like this is it. It was, but every time I learned something and I grew from that too.
mm,
So I totally
yeah.
get that. Yeah, I'm so glad I'm
I
not the only one. And then look, and
no,
it came,
I even
and some people, it's like, you are so flaky. It's like, what are you doing these days? And I'm like, yeah, and of course you internalize it when somebody says you're so flaky, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? That was me.
yeah. Well, and I've had people tell me that too. Oh, you always have different businesses, and but I've had this one now for about 6 years, so I don't think I'm changing this one. But I did, and I even worked for Young Life, which is also a Christian organization. I worked for them for about 10 months, but it was like the same. I didn't like working for other people. I liked, going from being a stay-at-home mom with 5 kids and a husband who was our sole provider. I really liked being available to my family and being available and taking care of my family. Like I always felt like that was what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And, and and then when that shifted, it was okay, what am I doing now?
Well,
Because
and
my
I
husband
can
was like,
imagine it's like if you have your, I mean, I could, you know, um, the husband being the sole provider, and you were here with the five kids and everything, and all of a sudden that security net, that security blanket is ripped out from under you. It's
mhm,
like, what do you do? I mean,
yeah.
the fear, I cannot even imagine. You want to talk
It
a little
was
bit about that?
well, and I was lucky because my husband was also very intuitive. He was very gifted medium, although we didn't really know or understand, so we didn't embrace those things. Also, we were kind of religious, so and religion teaches you not to embrace those things.
Right.
So it was kind of the taboo thing that we kind of talked about amongst ourselves. And but when I we were very fortunate because back in our late 20s, um, we we um we had bought life insurance. We had bought a separate policy, not through work, but a separate policy for life insurance. So when he passed, I did get a life insurance settlement, and that helped a lot,
Oh,
right?
I'm
That helped a
sure.
lot because that meant I get to stay in my home. But then also, three of my kids were adults, and two of my kids were still, they were like my youngest boys were 12 and 14. So I got Social Security for them too.
Oh,
And
nice.
that also helped a lot. And, I thought it's based on how much money you make, right? And I remember when I went to go, have my interview at the Social Security office, the guy did my paperwork, and then he told me, he said, you're really lucky. He said, you're really lucky your husband took good care of you. And I didn't understand what he meant, but the money that we got from Social Security was enough to cover our expenses. And then I found out some people don't get that much at all. And so I don't know how we ended up getting as much as we did, but but we were
Because it
really
was meant to
lucky.
be.
I guess so. And as my boys got older, we kind of they started to age out. Like I aged out first because as a mother, you can get Social Security benefits until your youngest child turns 16. And
Okay.
he was 12 at the time. So I got, for 4 years, I got Social Security. And for me, and then and so it started to drop. Once my son turned 16, I lost my portion. And then as they aged out of school, because you get it until you're 18 or you graduate from high school. And so as they started to graduate from school, it would start to get cut. It would get cut. And then the next year, finally, there was the last one. And I was all on my own. But it gave me those 6 years, it gave me, because it was just last year that my son finally aged out and I stopped getting income from that, and it was a lot less, probably a quarter of what I was getting in the beginning. But through those years, my income, my business that I've been building with the work I do, and my income was growing. So every time one of somebody was going to age out and I was going to get a pay cut, I would worry like, oh man, how am I going to make up this money? Because we're talking like $1,000, right? Like how, or
Right.
$2,000 even. Like how am I going to make up this money? And every time I don't know, I would
Funny
make
how
it
that
work.
works.
Right. And so last year, I remember last year, my youngest son was going to graduate and I wasn't going to get any, like, that was it. I'm on my own. And Sabina, let me tell you, I've never been on my own. Like, I went from my parents to my first husband, and I've never like had to support myself solely on my own. Never in my whole life. And so that was really scary because now it's all on my shoulders, right? Now
Right.
I'm the who's responsible for my household, and my kids were still here but they were paying rent and stuff like that, but I'm still responsible for maintaining all of this, right? And so
Hmm.
that was scary. And I remember waking up in June, and he had graduated in May, and I woke up in June and I was like, shit. Dude, I was like, I'm not getting Social Security check this month. And I was like, and that's like $2,000. And I'm like, should I get a job? Do I need to go out and get a job? Should I have already gotten a job? Because I'm not making, I'm making money, but I'm making like part-time income, right?
Right.
But I've got full-time bills. So,
Well, I mean, you're making part-time income because you weren't working full-time.
mm,
Because you still had that cushion, you still had that safety net. So there was no
yes.
urgency, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I still, well, because I'm building my business, and as you know, that takes time, right? It
Right,
takes, and I still don't work full-time hours, but like I said, every year my income has increased, increased, increased. The income that I've been bringing in is increased, and so it always worked out, right?
right.
It always worked
And
out, and then
go ahead.
and now I get the opportunity to see that again because two of my kids are moving out, and so I'm losing their rental income. So I'm like, oh, here we go again. It's always worked out.
Oh,
It has
growth opportunities.
right. Like here's yeah. I get to test my trust in the universe.
And it's like I don't believe in coincidences. I
Mhm.
believe it's like we planned everything before we even came here. We made the agreements with the people and all of it. We still have free will. I believe in
Mhm.
that. We can still change the I can't say the word, the
The
path.
trajectory.
That one. I was
The
like,
trajectory. Yeah.
let's trip
That's a
over my
mouthful.
tongue. I mean, we have the opportunity to change. Just because something is the way it is right now doesn't mean it has to stay that way.
Yes.
And I think it's like, and like you just said, we get the opportunity for growth.
Mhm.
It's like, oh man, I counted on this. Now it's gone. Crap, what do I do? Panic, and after the initial panic is gone, at least for me, it's like I go into problem solving mode.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, this sucks. Oh my gosh, what do I do? But then you find ways and you will always find ways. And that's what I love about life. It's like just because something is the way it is right now doesn't mean it has to stay that way. And the way you just said it too, and it's like, it's like you lost that income and now you're losing another one. It's like, oh, and this the initial, oh my God, what do I do? But then it's like
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like it'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it will. It'll be okay.
Right.
Uh,
And you just move forward and keep doing you.
yeah.
And
Well,
I
and I
love.
think Well, and I think, last year me and Carm, we founded the All Things Spiritual group, and that's been huge too in helping to build my business. And it's funny because I don't really advertise my own, like I'm always promoting everybody else in that group, and I don't really advertise for myself. But my business has grown a lot with that, just being present in that group,
Right.
and being engaging with everybody. And
And I
so
love
that's
the
been
group. I love the group because, and that's what drew me because it's like, I did a lot of networking before COVID. And then,
mhm.
Corona-cation, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm not gonna lie. Because I didn't have to put on the mask anymore. I didn't have to put on
Yes.
the facade anymore. I didn't have to play nice with the other children, and all of those things. And I could just be me and do my thing, and then
Yes.
it's like, for the last, well, I would say about the last year, I
Hmm.
keep getting the nudge too. It's like, yo, stop hiding, come out of isolation. You need to get back out. And I was like, "Ugh." Do I have to? And I
Right?
kept hearing, yes, and then your group came along
Mhm.
and I was like, these are my people. If I go back into networking, then this is where I want to go. And I have to say, it was like one of the best decisions I made for me.
Mhm.
It's just like not just getting out, but being around like-minded people. And that's really what it's all about. It's like whatever your belief system is, find your people. Find
Yes,
your people and
exactly.
and be with your people.
Mhm.
And it's just awesome.
I
So,
get, and I love that. And I think that was one of the things with All Things Spiritual. We wanted to have a place for people to kind of come out of the spiritual closet, right? To not have to wear those masks and pretend they're not seeing all the things they're seeing, right? Picking up on all
right.
the stuff they're picking up, like a place where they could just come and talk and be who they are and make those connections and make friends.
No, I
And
love that. I love that.
because I know I
So,
spent a lot of years in the closet with that.
right. So having the group now, blah, 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 blah. Let me start over. With the group, having the group together and bringing it back and really building it and everything with Carm, what has it done for you? How has it changed you, the way you look at yourself,
Um,
at your gifts and the things that you do?
well, it's definitely been a huge learning curve. Um, because I've put so much time and effort into maintaining and growing the group, and I couldn't do it without my moderators. Like the moderators, they help so much, because it's way too much for one person. And Carm, she's got her own life and her own things, her own business that she's managing too. But um and I've always been a big networker too. When I did have my own businesses, I used to do a lot of networking because I love making connections. I love
Right.
connecting with people. I love meeting people, and I also love bringing people in. Like I love bringing people into the fold, right? And and that's something I've always like naturally been good at. And so it's just been really great. Like I said, my business has grown a lot just because I'm present, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
present, I'm active in the group. Like I don't even really advertise my services once in a great
Right.
while, but and I
No, I
always tell
get that.
people too, like, and we do have like tiers, for promotion and stuff like that, levels, different levels of engagement. If you're building your business and you're wanting to a place to promote. But I always tell people the best thing you can do for your business is be out, be present, right? Be
Yeah, show
active,
up.
show up, be active, engage with people, get to know people. Because in the Facebook group, if people like your energy, like we're not going to connect with everybody, but we're going to find the people we connect with, right? And the people, if people like your energy, then they want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so
No,
that's what I.
and it's true.
Mhm.
And just keep doing you. It's like for me, I was like, I do all kinds of things, and it's like, does it even make a difference? Do people even see it? And then we had the group on Monday, and one of the ladies, when I told her who I was, she was like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my God, this is so cool! I get to meet you in person." I was like, I was like, wow. And then, of course, I joke because that's how I do stuff. It's like, I'm somebody. I'm in the phone book.
But
But
it
I
is
mean,
exciting.
but here's the thing: it's like, be you. You never know who you touch. You never know who you make a difference with. You just never know. Just show
Exactly.
up.
Yeah, just show up. Everything happens for a reason. Like, and it's all
Exactly.
connected. So just show up, because you never know who might need to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely. So I
Hmm.
have another question. It's like, so growing up, you've had the gifts from very little. It's like, what did that do for your confidence level? I mean, it's like through the stages. Was your confidence? I mean, I know you have high confidence right now, but it's like back then, you know, was it like a gradual build up, or was there like one moment where it's like, oh wow, boom?
I think it was kind of just like a oh wow boom. Like I've always been the type of person to like jump first and ask questions later, you know.
Uh,
And
did you mention you were a Leo?
I'm a Leo, yeah. So
I
I'm
can
just kind of
relate.
like, all right. But I remember I was mentoring with Carm, and I was going to Circle. I was doing all the things, right? Going to Circle, playing with my cards, I was doing readings for friends. I was doing reading for friends, and then Carm. But and this is a nice thing about working with psychics and mediums, because they already know, right? And she told me from the moment she first saw me walk in, like she knew I was a medium, and she knew I was going to be doing this work eventually. And so she would tell me, she's like, you should go do, fairs. And I was like, yeah, no, that's crazy. No. I was like, no, that's scary.
Not it.
And yeah. And she would say, do you think you want to do this professionally? And I would be like, no. And she'd look at me sometimes before I'd even answer. She said, no, you're not ready yet. And I was like, okay. And she kept asking me like every couple months. It's like she was already feeling it. And she's like, do you think you want to do this professionally? And I'd be like, no. Like
Go away.
at this point, I'm still in the closet, right? Nobody in my family knows what I'm doing. I'm in the closet, very deep in the back of the closet. But she kept asking me. And then finally I just kept getting this, you know what, Rachel, like you can't be sitting on the fence. Like you're either in or you're out, and you need to decide now. Like it's time to
Mhm.
decide. No more sitting on the fence. You're either in or you're out. So then the next time she asked me, And I said, yes, yes, I think I'm going to do this professionally.
Did her jaw drop?
No, because she already knew. And so she's like, okay, then you need to start doing fairs. And so I did. I signed up. The Pueblo Holistic Fair was the first fair I did, and it was amazing. Like I did mediumship, like it was a whole day of just, it was a whole weekend of just doing readings, one right after the other, 20-minute readings, one right after the other,
I
sometimes
love
back to
that.
back. And it was great experience and a great way to build that confidence.
I love
And I
that.
learned a lot doing those fairs. And
Well,
and then I
practice,
started,
I mean, they say practice makes perfect. So,
oh yeah, and I still do the fairs today. I'm still doing the fairs, and there's starting to be more and more fairs every year that are coming.
right.
And so, I do the Body, Mind, Spirit. I do Pueblo Holistic Fair. Art and Soul is doing they're doing their first one in Colorado Springs with Amy Schmidt. She's amazing, and she always puts on a great show. And so I'm going to be doing that one as well. And I'm really excited because that one's coming up in August. So fair season is starting to start a month earlier than what it
Yay.
usually does.
Nice. So you're
But
fully out of the closet now then? Your whole
I am,
family knows?
yes, everybody knows.
How
I
did they react? How are they?
People ask me like, what does your family think? And I tell them, well, half of them think I'm crazy because they think I snapped after my husband died. I said, and the other half think I'm going to hell. and uh, and I have some family members that don't talk to me anymore. They think they don't believe in what I'm doing. They think it's bad. They think it's demonic. And I've had to, and I think that's been a big step in growing my confidence also. Like I have a lot of family that does not believe in me or does not believe in what I do. And even my mom disowned me for a little bit. Like
Oh,
she
wow.
when I because I as I was stepping into it, I kept getting this message. I'm supposed to be out in the open. I need to be out in the open. You're not, and I kept hearing, you're not honoring me by hiding the gifts I've given you. And I was like, ugh, I don't want to be out in the open. I'm gonna be crucified. Like I was in women's ministry for 6 years. Like a lot of people on my Facebook are people from church. I'm like, this is going to be bad. And I just kept getting, nope, you need to be out in the open. And I remember when I was making my business cards, I was like, okay, what am I going to call myself? Intuitive. And I was kind of playing with names, intuitive this or intuitive that. And I kept hearing, no, you're a psychic medium. And I was like, I don't want to put that. Like, I don't want to put that. People are going to like crucify me. And I just kept hearing, nope, you're a psychic medium. And I just kept hearing it. And I was like, fine, fine, I'll put
Shut
psychic
up
medium.
already. Fine.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, and I really do believe I was supposed to open the door for people because then the next message I got was like, you need to be out, you need to be out in public, you need to be out networking again. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I was like, damn it, I don't want to do that. And it was like, nope. And so I remember I went back to an old networking meeting that I used to go to before. And I walked in and it was my turn to introduce myself. I said, hi. And people were there that knew me. Like there was people there that knew me from before, knew me when I did Wild Tree. And I walked in and I was like, hi, I'm Rachael Ortega. I'm a psychic medium. And people gasped. They gasped. I can't say that. Okay, there. And I heard them go, and I was like, oh shoot. But then the most beautiful thing happened, Sabina. There were other people that also knew me for a long time. And one of them, it was Suzanne Richardson. I remember she stood up and she said, I just want to say something. She goes, I've known Rachael for a long time, for a lot of years, and she's a really great person. And I really want to encourage you to get to know her.
Oh,
And
that just
and
makes your
that
heart sing. Well, it makes my heart
yes,
sing.
and in those early meetings, every time I would get up and you could feel all the judgment, um, somebody would always stand up. You know what? I had a meeting with Rachael. She's really great. She's really kind and sweet. And I just want to encourage you to get to know her. Like people would stand up for me. And it was really beautiful. I remember when I got up too, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna say I'm a psychic medium. And then one time I get, no, you're supposed to say you're Christian and you're a psychic medium and you're Christian. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
And
Holy
I'm like,
cow.
no. And I just kept getting, nope, you're Christian. You're Christian. And I did. I got up and I said, "Oh, I'm Rachael Ortega. I'm a psychic medium. I'm also a Christian." And whew, that opened and but again, more people got up and said that they knew me and I was a really great person.
Oh.
And but I do believe it was because those were like regular networking groups. And then I went to one that was more spiritually based, more holistic based. And I remember being in that group and I was like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Like,
Mm,
this is not, I'm supposed to be with the people that would never walk into my office, right? The people that would never even think about coming to talk to me. Like, and it was, and I believe it was to kind of open the door and bring some normalcy to a to an industry that people think is either scary or demonic or just way out there, right? And so and it was to bring some, I don't know if normalcy is the right word. I can't think of the word. There's another word that people always say.
I think what I'm getting is like to dissipate the fear
Yes,
and the
exactly.
judgment people have around the stuff
Mhm.
that you do, that I do, that we do around that whole
Yes.
spirituality thing.
Yeah, because back when, and I think it's probably like 5 or 6 years now that I started when I went back into networking. Back then, there was hardly any holistic people at any of these meetings, right? There was hardly, like, I was definitely the only psychic medium in any of these meetings, at least the only professional out of the closet one, right?
Right.
And and so and I believe it was to kind of open that door and like so people didn't have to be so fearful, right? I didn't have horns coming out of my head. I wasn't like, I don't know, doing whatever. And like I was just a normal person.
Right.
And
And it gives them permission to ask questions because I'm sorry, I don't care what they say, we're all curious. We're all wondering,
yes.
what if
Hmm.
there's more? What if these cuckoos are not that cuckoo?
Yes.
That's like, and by us talking openly about it and really owning us, our gifts, and whatever it is we
Hmm.
do, we give others permission to start that conversation. We're giving them permission to explore
Hmm.
those things, I feel.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
and in these meetings, sometimes I would present too. And when I would present, I would talk about energy. And I would have people say, well, let me ask you this. What about what the Bible says? Well, hello, I was in women's ministry for 6 years. So I'm like, I know a lot about what the
Well,
Bible
let me
says.
tell you.
Yeah, exactly. And and I grew up in a very religious church. So yes, I know a lot about what the Bible says. But also like God's bigger than the Bible. Like,
Right.
and I remember telling this to my dad too, like, Dad, do you really think God's like confined by the parameters in the Bible? Like, no, he's God. Like, and and so I and so going into these meetings, um, I would talk about energy and how it's all connected, and I would kind of go like a quantum physics, stance on it. And people, you can't deny energy, right?
Right.
You can't deny, and when you break it down, it's not
It's like
so,
denying gravity.
yes. And when you break it down into like into energetic terms, it's not like there's a lot of evidence to support energy and how energy works and moves and like it, and that's all I'm doing. I'm an energy reader. I read
Right.
energy, right? It's not this like supernatural thing. It's just energy. And if we can
Right.
start to understand that, then it's not scary.
Right. And then speaking of that, scary, because I know a lot of people, the misconceptions, the things that they believe, and it's like it's fear. Bottom line of it, it's like the reason they poo-poo on it, the reason they ostracize it, and all of those things. I think the underlying thing really is fear. It's the not understanding, and it's like, what would you tell people?
Yes. Yeah, and I would be in these rooms with like very Christian business owners, and they would just kind of be looking at me up and down, trying to figure me out because I talk about Jesus and I talk about God and I talk about being guided and my energy, I think most of the time is very love and light, right? Like I love everybody,
Right.
and even if I don't like you, I still care about you.
Hey,
So
that's what I say. It's like I love everybody. I may not like everybody. Well, not me. I don't like everybody, but I do love everybody. Big difference.
yes, and so I think. and I wasn't guarded. I'm like very much an open book. And I think, and I would see people kind of looking at me like, huh, and I did have people come and see me for, for guidance or whatever that would have never done that, and or send people to me. And I did a lot of like one-on-ones with people, and sometimes I would get messages for them, or I would get, things for them. They were just kind of like, huh, and now you go into these meetings now, and there's a lot of holistic people now. There's, and you never used to see that back then. And now there are a lot of intuitive people, and a lot of holistic people in the regular groups now. And I think it's just a really beautiful thing. And it doesn't
Well,
have to
and
be
and I
scary.
think it's because the more of us that talk openly about it, giving others permission, that's giving them permission. It's like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it.
Mhm.
I really think, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more coming forward over the
Yeah.
next few years.
Well, and a lot of what the messages I was getting early on in my journey was I was supposed to bring the two worlds together. I was bringing the two worlds together and blending the two worlds, and I've been seeing it happening more and more and more
And
as
you're
it
doing a
doesn't.
beautiful job, darling.
Oh, thank you. And like it's just, I don't know, it's been a great journey. But yeah, I get some, and every so often I get led to post like in public groups about it, and I get crucified sometimes. But and those are like channeled messages too, and I'm just like, oh, why are you having me write this? Like, I don't want to write this. People are gonna come after me with
Just do
pitchforks.
it.
I just keep look, I'm supposed to write. I'm like, fine, and I'll write it. And sure enough, like people come after me with pitchforks, but that's okay. I can handle it. My own mom
Absolutely.
disowned me. And I kind of got off that subject, but when you talked about that, like my mom, she told me I had posted a picture about myself doing readings at a it was a senior. I do donate a lot of my services. And I was working at a senior fair, and I was
Hmm.
doing free readings for the seniors, which was really beautiful. And I posted some pictures of it, and my mom mess called me a few days later, and she says, well, the family's all talking about you. I'm getting phone calls, people are talking about you. And I'm like, well, did you tell them they're not supposed to be gossiping, mom? And she's like, well, no. And I said, well, tell them, they're not supposed to be judging. And she's like, well, no, but I don't agree with what you're doing either. And, that's not right. And, that's going to be bad. And she's like, and I'm like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, mom, but like, I can't go back to who I was. Like, I'm not the same person anymore, and I can't go back. She's like, well, then I'm going to have to step away. She goes, I'm going to have to step away. As long as you continue to do that kind of work, I'm going to have to step away from you. And I said, well, mom, I'm going to miss you. I said, I'll miss you. And I'm sad, that you're not going to talk to me anymore, but like, I can't go back. Like, I'm not the same. I'm not that person anymore. And I just can never go back. And I think owning it,
Yeah.
like really stepping into it and owning it, like really
I think
shift.
that's really the hardest part, and one of the biggest fears is like the people we might lose when we step into be our true self.
Yes.
But then
And,
it's like it's choices, it's their choice.
mhm. And that's what I told her. Like, well, that's your choice, mom. I think I did say that too. Like, that's your choice, and I'll miss you, but
Right,
I can't go back to who I was. And
right. Ugh.
and she didn't talk to me for a few weeks, but then she started talking to me now.
Oh, it was
And
just a few weeks. That's not too bad.
yeah,
You
well,
know,
I guess she couldn't stay away from me. So
it's like I know there's other families that completely like, sever
and
ties and whatever.
and I
But
and I remember telling her, I'm like, mom. She's like, no, but that's going to be dangerous. That's dangerous, because she had bad experiences with her own gifts, which is where the fear came from. And I said, mom, don't you have faith that God can protect me? And she's like, well, I don't know. And I said, because I have faith. Like, I have faith that God's going to protect me. I said, when I kept getting the message that I need to do this, I said, I prayed about it, and I told God, okay, God, if it's not from you, take it away. And I said, but then and then and it just kept getting stronger. And eventually I just said, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, I'll do it. And I'm going to trust and have faith that you're going to protect me and take care of me. And that's what I stand on now. Like, that's what I've always just stood
oh,
on. Like,
that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Man, I can talk to you about this stuff like weeks on end, not even just all day, like weeks on end, because
yeah.
that's my language. That's my love language. I can't help it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. So, what's a good way for people to reach you?
Best way to reach me is, well, you can go to my website, which is Rachel, Rachael, Ortega.com. And, or you can find me on allthingsspiritualco.com, that website. You can also find me on Facebook under Rachael Ortega. My business page is Rachael Ortega Medium, and also Instagram is Rachael Ortega Medium. Or you can find me on my personal or in the All Things Spiritual
I was
Facebook
just
group
gonna say,
too.
don't forget to mention the All Things Spiritual
Yeah,
group.
um, All Things Spiritual Community Facebook group, and then we didn't even talk about the grief stuff I do, but I have a workshop
Oh,
coming
darn,
up
you have to
too.
come back. We have to do another show.
Yeah, about the grief, because that's a big part as a widow. That's a
Right.
big part of my heart, and I donate most of my services for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we do have a workshop that's coming up that I'm really excited about too.
I love that. No, I love that. I love all you do, and it's like you always do it, and it's like always like, it's not about and it's not about you. It's about how
Mm.
can you help others,
Yes.
become more and step into their gifts and all of that. I love that. And
Mhm.
it's like, you're my people. I just love it. Come on, do it. Ta-da! I have to do that at least once a show,
I
because
love it.
it's just fun. I love doing this. So, what would be one last pearls of wisdom, something you want our viewers and listeners to take away from today?
And just don't be afraid to embrace who you are. And like we all have gifts and we're all connected. And so just really leaning into that and stepping into that and just allowing it to flow through you.
I love that because we're all misfits. Think about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're all misfits. We
Oh
don't
yeah.
fit in boxes, huh?
No, I never did. I didn't even have friends till I was like in high school.
Oh wow.
Yeah, eighth grade. I didn't even have friends till I was in eighth grade. I was the weird kid at school.
Well, it's all good. I can relate to that. So anyway, well, Rachel, thank you so much for being with us today, for sharing you. And it's like, I just love your heart.
Oh, thank you.
I just love everything about you. That's just the way it is. So, so
Yes.
thank you. And
Thank you for having me.
anytime. I can see us doing another show on the whole grief thing too. So, stay tuned. Anyway, thank you everybody so much for listening, for tuning in to another episode here on Home of Misfits, where, wait for it, normal is optional, mass are necessary, and you belong. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Home of Misfits, a program of the Happiness Matters Foundation. Until next time, you belong.